Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Air Capital Hot Rod Garage. Today, we're going to continue making progress on our Malibu Dash. As I said, we're going to keep working on our Malibu Dash for the 1971 Chevelle. If you didn't see the first episode of this, you can click right up here and check that video out. But basically, we have the Malibu type dash with the sweep style of speedometer here. That I'm customizing and restoring so that we can put in some custom gauges and it'll look pretty good. What I've done so far is it had a bunch of holes on the bottom of the dash here. I filled those in with epoxy, and then I filled in the headlight switch here with a little bit of epoxy, then drilled it back out so that some of my my check engine lights and stuff will fit in it. So now it's all prepped, or it's all sanded anyway. I'm going to prep it for paint. The first step of that is to wash it down with just soapy water here. I'll grab this. Again, if you didn't check it out on the last episode, here's the dash insert that we're going to put in here. And it will hold 2 3 3/8 gauges and 4 2 1/4 inch gauges. So like I said, we're going to take our microfiber cloth and wipe it down with just hot soapy water. It's really fast. All right, now that we got that done, we're going to let it dry, and then I'm going to spray it down with some plastic adhesion promoter. This is from SEM. It's 39863 is the part number. So I'm going to spray all the plastic pieces down with that. Let that dry, or follow the directions. At least I haven't actually read the directions. And then I got this SEM color coat. This is 15013 Landauer, I think is how you say that, Landauer Black. So this is going to be basically our paint. This paint is kind of specially for interior surfaces. It says flexible coating, restore or change the color of most vinyl surfaces, flexible and rigid plastic, carpet and velour. So this is kind of specialty paint for doing this sort of thing. Also have the ashtray here that I'm also going to paint. I don't have the glove box door on here. I'm hoping I could just use the glove box door that's already in there. And then I also have the vents that they need some repair work that I'll accomplish later. All right, I read the directions on this adhesion promoter. And it says to clean with soap or scuff and clean. So I'm going to scuff it with a Scotch-Brite pad. And it says rinse it with water again. And then clean the area with another surface cleaner. And then shake thoroughly and spray this on. So got a little bit more prep work that I'll do. Scuffing it up should be pretty easy. All right, now that we've scuffed it, it's time to wipe it down again. All right, now that we got it wiped down again, we're gonna wipe it down with a cleaner, or what I'm gonna use is some wax and grease remover. All right, here we go with our first coat of the plastic adhesion promoter, one light coat. All right, it's been 5 minutes. Time to do a full wet coat. Now we wait 15 to 30 minutes. All right, boys and girls, it's time to make some magic happen. Got the paint here. We're gonna start painting it black. I want to start with the ashtray, just so that if I do mess it up, you know, I'm not used to the way this sprays, it's not quite as much to prepare. We got our first coat done. We'll let that dry a bit and then we'll put another coat on. So I got the dash all painted up. It's looking pretty good. Got the ashtray installed. So now I want to start working on the gauge insert and this insert down here. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of paper, make a template so that I can cut it out in sheet metal. Template made. I'm going to use this sheet metal here. I think that's about 16 gauge. I'm going to make it out just because I had it. Really kind of heavy for this purpose, but it'll work. Alright, so there's a panel. Seems to fit in there pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some self-tappers and screw it in for now. Because I'm going to have to take it in and out, I think, occasionally as I'm building the car. I'm going to put a, not a lighter, but I think a USB charger in over here. Of course, put the stereo, and then I got to put my headlight switch in there. So I'm going to paint this black because as I was doing this, I realized this corner is knocked out of it. Along here. So, kind of forgot about that, didn't notice it when I was doing all the epoxy work. That's okay, so I'll paint this black, kind of help hide it, and then just like with the gauge panel that they recommend using some black caulk, I'll use some black caulk there to hide that. So, and then obviously there's no corner there, so I'm going to put a screw in there, and it's kind of a dummy screw. So, but just want to make it look good. So paint that black. But I used to have a metal fabrication business where we had a plasma cutter and we did a fair amount of artwork. And so therefore we did a lot of spray painting. And we really found that putting primer on the piece that we're painting, the spray paint, turned out so much better than trying to do it without. So I'm a big believer in using primer. And here's the primer that we use. It's a Rust-Oleum product, bigger can. It lays down really fast and dries pretty quick. So that's what I'm going to hit this with. I got the dash out there. Looking in here, this is the damage. So I got a rat's nest of wires to deal with. At least it looks bad. I don't think it's actually really bad. It's just they're not bundled up, so it just looks horrible. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing is cleaning up that wiring and everything. And then gonna pull that heater box out. Gonna pull these gauges out, and I'm gonna reuse the oil pressure and temperature gauge. And so if you haven't ever taken out a Chevelle dash, it looks kind of daunting, but it's really not too bad. There's really only a couple of bolts that hold it in. First you take the dash pad off, and then that allows you to get access to everything behind it. And so there's like a bolt here, two in the corners, and then the secret one is there's one underneath the steering column here that bolts in right here. So that's the one that you really got to know about to get, but other than that, no big deal. So not too bad. It only took me probably 30 minutes or so to get that out. So we're gonna keep working. Guys, we're getting really close to being finished with our dash here. Here's the center vents. I got new vents themselves. I tried to take the old ones apart and they just kind of fell apart, so I ended up having to order new ones. I have to glue this box together and then that will be ready to go in the dash. On the exterior vents, or the side vents, I was able to rebuild them, and so they operate, all the vents operate together. So I'm going to reinstall those. So got all the ventilation taken care of. Got the gauges installed. These are all Autometer Sport Comp gauges, except for my oil pressure gauge, which was already in the car, and it's a Sport Comp 2. The difference there is, or one of the differences is, the Sport Comp 2s, they're internally LED lit. I went ahead and put LEDs in the rest of the gauges, LED bulbs. There is a color difference, but it's not a big deal. Then I got all the gauges wired up pretty much. Used a 6-pin connector, only using 3 of the wires right now. And then got this 9-pin that the original dash was plugged into. Have a couple more wires to hook up once it goes in the car. Got another 2-wire pigtail for my check engine light over here. I installed a USB charger here, so no cigarette lighter. Do need to cut out for the stereo yet. And then install my vents. Do have to modify the glove box just a little bit. We have to cut this back a little bit to modify for the air conditioning system. So I'm going to install the vents, modify the glove box, and then we'll call the dash done. You want to take 2 inches off the back of this, so here's what it did look like. So mark that, measure it, cut it. On this inside part here, this bracket kind of gets in the way to use like a angle grinder with a cutoff wheel. So I cut around as much as I could and took this section out, and then I was able to use a body saw to get in there to cut the rest of it. So this is a handy tool. You don't use it a whole lot, or at least I don't, but it's a handy tool. Also, one of those side-to-side oscillating tools would probably work pretty well also. So try that, see which one works for you. But then here's the part that is included with the kit. So that slides over that, and then it has these little S-clips that you secure it in place. And these, for as hokey as they look, they actually hold stuff pretty well. So I'm going to install these, and we'll just about be done. I'm going to get ready to install my temperature sensor for my Autometer gauges. So what it comes with is the sensor. Comes with a couple of adapters for larger MPT threads. However, the LS engines aren't MPT, they're metric. So I got this adapter from ICT Billet. It is 551159 1/8" MPT coolant adapter. So it threads into the block. Make sure you put your washer on there, and then your temperature sensor will thread into there. You're going to want to put some Teflon tape on there to seal, because on MPT the threads do the sealing. On a metric one, the washer does the sealing. I'm going to put this right down here in the back of the passenger side head. We are just about finishing up on our dash restoration here. I got a new stereo, and this is the stereo. It's not very deep, and that's because I don't want to have to support it from the back or anything. So with this being shallow, there's no weight on it and everything. And this little radio was only 20 bucks. It's a dual something or other. I'm not a big, stereo guy or anything, so I basically just want to play the radio, and then this will pair up to my phone if I want. So this will slide in like that. Then I got the light switch, and I have my USB charger that I'm installing in place of the cigarette lighter. And then this will be ready to go in. And I'll have to do some wiring for the additional gauges, and that's pretty much it. That's going to wrap up this episode of Air Capital Hot Rods Garage. We restored this Malibu dash, customized it, and put it back in the Chevelle. Done a lot of wiring work in here. Now it's time to install the dash.